Hey, Action Shelf listeners, before we jump into the show itself, we want to tell you about how you can get even more action in your life. That appeals to you.
More action, you
More
say,
action,
John.
you say. Yes. If you go over to our Podbean patron page, that's patron.podbean.com/punchup. You can listen to Lisman and I watch, what's this? Good action movies.
Good action movies, you say?
That's right. A change of pace. We thought behind the paywall, let's give people something of quality.
And give us something of quality.
I know. It's such a pleasure to do that. So twice a month, you and I will be doing commentary tracks that you can download for good action movies, all kinds of awesome stuff from a lot of our heroes like John Woo. And we've done stuff from the John Wick franchise and Sylvester Stallone, Arnold Schwarzenegger, all the guys we never get to talk about on here.
Yeah, stuff we legitimately love and love to share with you all.
Yeah. So you can listen to that as well as other cool exclusive content from the Punch Up Entertainment Network shows. Once again, the address for that is patron.podbean.com/punchup. And now, into the action.
The Action Show. The Action Show.
Welcome to the Action Shelf. The podcast celebrates the glory of B action movies. I'm John Campbell.
I'm Michael Lisman.
Oh, Lisman, we finish up 2022. This is it, man. End of the year.
Yeah. Wow.
2 years of doing this shit.
Yeah, that's
wild, man. It feels like it's been a month, and it feels like it's been 10 years at the same time.
Yes, because I think back to watching something like Invasion USA, which was, I think, the third movie we ever did, and I'm like, that feels like a lifetime ago.
Yeah.
And
it was just the other year.
Yeah.
So we did talk about, so we just finished up our December of holiday movies, but yeah, we had this 1 week post Christmas here where we wanted to do a year end cap, and we did think, how do we want to spend the rest of the year, or the last week of the year? And we thought with Burt Reynolds, obviously.
Yeah, definitely.
He's an Action Shelf favorite. There's no question. We love Burt. And so we did that by taking in 1987's Malone.
Yes. And this is an MGM feature, right? This is produced by MGM and Orion.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. Distributed by MGM, released by Orion, who we've always talked about as being the slightly better canon.
Yeah, exactly. And I think this falls into that oeuvre a little bit.
It's
just a little bit more slick, a little bit like better constructed narrative. There's character motivations.
I was going to say, it's striving for a level of seriousness. It's still an action movie, but it is like, and actually we talk about, I have quotes from Burt Reynolds about this movie and his appeal about like, I didn't just want this to be another action picture. I want to play a real guy in it. He kind of does. I mean, I think I think about as much as you're gonna get in one of these kind of movies.
Yeah,
like it's still
he kind of felt like the man with no name is what this guy feels like.
Yes, I think this definitely falls into that category. And with the modern day setting, something I'm a big fan of are the Jack Reacher novels, and which are Lee Child, who wrote those. Those books are the man with no name basically in modern day.
Yes.
And the whole archetype of the mysterious stranger comes into town to right wrongs, which is classic. I mean, that is, we talk about certain things that are just ingrained, your Seven Samurai and stuff like that. And I do feel like the mysterious stranger story is one of those. Yeah, and so I think this is fine. Like as I was watching this last night, I just kept going, oh, this this is pretty good. Like it's it's a totally diverting. It doesn't overstay its welcome. It's
only an hour and a half. It's like 93 minutes or something.
And that's
really
I do think if this thing crossed into 2 hours, it might have started to grate on me. But this thing, I thought it moved along pretty well. Everyone in this is a base level good actor.
Yeah,
these are actual real actors. Some of these people are really good actors, not necessarily in this movie, because I do think Cliff Robertson, who's a fucking amazing actor, is pretty wasted in this.
Yes, definitely.
As generic bad guy.
Yeah.
But you know, and we talked about Burt is a real deal actor, and he's likable here. I will say, worst hairpiece we've seen yet in a movie. My God,
it's pretty bad. Yeah, I mean, the hair all around in this movie is bad, but yeah, Burt is not. That's definitely not his hair.
No, there were some shots where you see him from behind. I'm like, I literally see where it stops being the wig and becomes his real hair. I'm like, that's not what he wants.
Nope. No, it's not.
So yeah, let's talk about this movie. Comes to us from director Harry Cokless.
Yeah.
Who? Let me see. What has this guy done? Do I know any of this? He also did. He did Black Moon Rising the year before this, which, man, that feels like a future Action Shelf episode. That's about Tommy Lee Jones having to steal a supercar from the government.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. That is a John Carpenter screenplay, but not a John Carpenter directing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, interesting.
It's him and Linda Hamilton. Anyway,
yeah. He was a second unit director on Empire Strikes Back.
Why, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's not
really
bad at all. This guy goes hard into his 90s career is Hercules and Xena.
Okay. Oh, okay, cool.
Directed a few episodes of those, and looks like he kind of turned into a lot of like that syndicated TV from when we were kids, that kind of stuff. Because there was a Robin Hood show that I vaguely remember that he'd worked on that.
Yeah.
Because I don't think people remember, like, Hercules and Xena were the most successful of a whole like branch of television.
Yeah, there was almost like its own television cinematic universe a little bit, because they were all connected as well.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting.
And so there's that. He did work on something, he did direct a movie that we've talked about on over on The Green Mile, because we used to look in people's IMDb's and we would become obsessed with certain titles, and Battle Truck was one of those.
I'm seeing that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Seems like a Action Shelf movie.
Oh God, does it ever? I mean, look at the tagline is, "After the oil wars, out of the rubble of the cities comes Battle Truck." I mean, just the poster looks like an ad for a G.I. Joe vehicle. Like it does.
It does, yeah.
So that's definitely something. So this guy is not, I mean, you know, whatever. He's a professional, but he's not like top level director.
Right.
Although I do think this movie is, as we were talking about beforehand, perfectly competent. It is fine. It's fine.
I would say the two biggest strikes for me are, the movie does feel a little sleepy. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like the final confrontation is kind of boring, where Malone is doing a bunch of Home Alone traps to get people.
Yes, I thought the same thing, and I thought that about halfway through the movie, I had this where I'm going like, there's nothing bad in this, but there's also not a lot of momentum to this movie. There's not a lot of there's not a lot of tension or thrills.
Yeah. The performances are all kind of subdued and sleepy. You know what I mean?
It's all, I mean, once again, everything is base level good, but it's just like, this thing is just on cruise control, right? It's all just going like, okay, I can't say anything here is poor, but it is just like, I'm not like, and like you said, at 90 whatever minutes, I was never bored, but it was just kind of like, it's just like the movie never got up to its full running speed. It's just kind of like, oh, okay. And then it ended, and I went, okay.
Yeah, exactly. I also thought the editing was a little weird. Almost like they didn't have enough coverage in a lot of scenes, and so they had to cut around that a little bit.
I did want to see, do I have a budget on this? Because this does feel like a movie that had some money, but still not a lot of money.
Yeah.
Oh, I do have a budget. Listen, do you want to take your best guess at a 1987 budget here?
1987.
1987 from Orion Pictures.
Let's say $2 million.
Okay, $10 million.
Okay.
Now, that being said, according to the IMDb trivia, $3 million of that budget went to Burt.
That makes sense.
So you're dealing with a $7 million production dollar. $7 million.
Okay, gotcha.
Dollar production budget. So that makes Burt obviously took the majority of the cast money here. Although I will say, pretty good supporting. I mean, like we talk about Cliff Robertson as the bad guy. Lauren Hutton, who certainly at this point was an established star, who plays his ex-girlfriend or current girlfriend or whatever, CIA contact.
Or CIA, something.
Scott Wilson, who people would know as Herschel from The Walking Dead, amongst many, many, many other things.
So many things. This guy's been in everything.
He was like a real deal. I mean, he goes back to the original In Cold Blood or In the Heat of the Night, like big time major Hollywood character actor. He playing the mechanic here. Cynthia Gibb, who was on the up and coming here at this point, playing the daughter in this, who not on her, but has the worst part in this movie, I think.
Yes, 100%.
And she's actually, it's one of those things where I'm going, this part is horrible. She's a good enough actor that she's doing literally the best you could with this part.
Yes, I would agree with that too. Yeah, the little, like all of the little moments, she makes a meal out of it, but there's nothing overarching that to really latch onto for the character, other than she's very attracted to this 50-year-old Burt
Reynolds.
Reynolds.
Is in every single scene you talk about it. That would be one of my hits on the movie is yikes. Every single scene. Because Burt's looking good for a 51-year-old man. However, he is a 51-year-old man.
He is twice the age, or he at least appears to be twice the age.
No, he is. She's 24 in this movie. But she's but once again, like a lot of stuff we see on this show, she's playing it like she's 14.
Yes.
And I think obviously she's been directed that way. Because Cynthia Gibb, long career, has been in a lot of good movies. She's a good actress. Oh, we should talk about Death Warrant with her and Van Damme at some point. She did do a Van Damme movie in the 90s. But it is just the whole time I just went, oh, the poor Cynthia Gibb having to do these scenes and having to be like, I'm just painfully turned on by late 80s Burt Reynolds. Because this, I think, also a key thing here is Burt's career is not over at this point, but we're in the downward slope by the time he's doing this.
Because this is pre-Boogie Nights, right?
Yeah, this is pre-Boogie. Boogie Nights will be about 10 years after this. So he's
and that's kind of his resurgence into sort of mainstream popular culture.
Exactly. He's entering the phase where he'll become irrelevant. Because is this the movie right before? Because we did Rent-A-Cop, which, is the same year as this. That's the next movie he does. And that is... I mean, this is not great, but Rent-A-Cop is a huge step down from this.
Yes. That's way more of an action shelf movie than this movie.
Yeah, this one is kind of just like, I would say this fits into a lot of movies I've seen from this era of like, oh, pretty forgettable thriller. Like, okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it's fine. But
exactly.
Yeah, this, I would say 87 with Malone, Rent-A-Cop, because this movie also did not, I talked about it cost $10 million and it made $2 million, so it was a disaster box office wise.
Oh no.
Yeah. But this is where you start to get into trouble, and then he's back on TV by the early 90s, which whatever, but at that time would have been
a bit of a death sentence, or at least a bad omen.
And then and then when he gets into the mid 90s, that's when you get Raven, and we've seen him, and that's him in like Jesus Christ.
His career is a walking corpse at that point.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. And then yes, it will be Paul Thomas Anderson with Boogie Nights who brings him back out of that. But yeah.
Something I wanted to talk about. I kind of want to go back to the daughter attraction to him thing,
Yeah.
and how that's kind of like a central theme in a lot of these movies. And it's not always. I don't think it's inherently a bad thing. Because we recently watched Lethal Weapon, and there was a very similar dynamic between
Mel
Danny
Gibson.
Glover's daughter and Mel Gibson.
Yeah.
Obviously, their ages are closer at that point.
Yeah, it's like a
'Cause
16-year-old
Mel Gibson
girl.
isn't 50-year-old.
It's like a 16-year-old girl being into like a 35-year-old guy, and you're like, okay. And also, I mean, that is the thing. Was 1975 Burt Reynolds? Sure. 1987 Burt Reynolds is what we're dealing with here, though, and his age is showing in this movie. Like I said, he's not, but it is a little bit like, ooh, you're not at your top of your leading man game anymore, are you?
40% of his scenes are in bed, like he's lying on his back
also,
in a bed.
Almost any time Malone does anything physical, it's a stunt guy.
Yes,
it is. This 100%. Is one of the most rampant uses of stunt. Like, there's the scene when he infiltrates the compound at the end, and it's just him running from his car. He's literally just running in a straight line on a flat field, and it's a stunt guy.
Very clearly.
And I'm going like, you couldn't have done that?
I was thinking like, man, it'd be cool if they like pushed in on his face as he's like running, like determined. I'm like, oh right, they can't do that because they're not going to get Burt Reynolds to actually run in this
the
movie.
whole time I was watching this, I just kept thinking Burt was they're like, Burt, we're going to do that right, and he's like, have Barry do it. Yeah. No, I'm not. No. And like when you talk about him setting all those traps, it's all like close-ups or shots where the head is cut off, and I'm going, Jesus Christ, these aren't even stunts. But he's just like, yeah, I'm not coming in.
Yeah. Unfortunately, $3 million only gets you so far with Burt. So,
but yes, you're also right that there's also a lot of him lounging in this movie, or he's injured or something. He's like, better lie down, take it easy. I mean, that is sort of thing where I'm going like, okay, here's a movie. We often go like, man, when the heroes of these movies get shot and they just keep going. Here's a movie that actually does, like, he gets shot and he's down, which good in theory, but then I'm going like, oh right, pacing wise, this is why you don't do that, because I don't want to watch our hero recover for days in bed.
For 5 days. He spends 5 days
he
in bed.
done. You're just going like, man, that is death to a film, like in terms of momentum. When it further adds to this, just there's no ticking clock. There's no, if we don't stop this thing, so there's no urgency. It's like, I should probably stop those bad guys at some point, huh?
He's
better
like,
take another day.
He's on the fence about it for most of the movie. It's not until his partner is killed that he actually decides to do something about it.
Which is like, there's like 20 minutes left at that point.
Yes,
exactly.
But
and that, unfortunately, it's sort of the thing then creates that feeling in me where I'm like, I'd love to see Malone kick some ass, but at the same time, it doesn't seem like he's in a hurry about it either. So
no, not at all.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do?
I love Burt Reynolds. We talked about this on a few of the others. His very honest interviews. Mm-hmm. Here's what he said of this movie. He goes, I was attracted to Malone because I thought there was a chance the movie could be might be more than a guy running away from his past. Let's be honest, this film is just Shane. He goes, it is interesting though. He says, I'm not doing Eastwood in this, but the whole time I kept thinking is, he's kind of doing Eastwood in this. And I did look and confirm they went to Clint first with this one.
Of course they did.
Because this is and I did also think this is something I thought is, I love Burt, but this movie doesn't use Burt super well.
No.
It is Burt doing Clint Eastwood, where it's like, but Burt isn't best when he's like quiet and stoic. Burt's like funny.
Yeah. Yes.
That's one of the things we like about him.
Yeah.
He does. He has a couple of, and I wrote them down, of course. He has a couple of one-liner-ish things, but he needs more of that. It's interesting because I was thinking about Clint and Burt did a movie together called City Heat. They did a buddy cop movie, which I will do a commentary for at some point because them doing. But the whole thing in that movie was Clint got to be silent and stoic, and Burt was wisecracking and flirting with ladies, and you're going like, yeah, that's using they're two separate movie star personas. Because Burt, I will say, I have a list here, Listman, of everyone they went to before Burt. Because Burt was not even close to the first choice for this thing.
That makes sense. Yeah.
Let me give you the list here. Now, we'll start with the
right.
requisite. It's 1987. So we'll just throw out, of course, Schwarzenegger, Stallone.
Of course, yes.
That's a given. But I almost feel like this is a little too calm for both of those guys. You know what I mean? Like,
yes.
They would both want to kill 50 more people.
In, like, gruesome, elaborate ways. And and drop some one-liners.
Could I rip a guy's head off? That kind of thing. Exactly. And then I mentioned Clint Eastwood, Harrison Ford.
He would have been good. Yeah.
I think actually Ford is probably actually what this movie needed, maybe. Richard Gere. I mean, some of this is just who were the movie stars of this era.
Yeah.
Richard Gere, Mel Gibson, Michael Keaton. Yeah, that is the most interesting to me, I think, of the bunch. And then Kurt Russell, of course, who I think actually
nice.
Russell would have. I think Russell or Harrison Ford would have been actually the best for this material. Because they could be stoic, but and once again, it's not that Burt's a bad actor. This is just, and he's fine in the movie. You're just going like, this is just kind of not a good use of what Burt can bring to the screen.
Yeah, he doesn't have the reason why Clint works so well as this type of character is that being steely and quiet, you have to have like an internal thought process as the performer or as the character, and I don't think Burt brings that.
He doesn't.
He's just not talking, and he's just kind of looking, and he's just smoking, But there's not anything going. You don't see the gears turning up.
No, because he's not
there.
And that's not that Burt's a bad actor. He's just not an internal actor particularly.
Yes,
he is a guy who's very verbal and very good. You give him a line, and he'll make a meal out of it.
Exactly.
And like I said, he's fun and likable. But yeah, they want this guy to be. I have to imagine. I can only speculate that Clint probably turned this down because it's like, yeah, I get a million scripts where I'm this kind of guy.
Yes,
sort of like,
yeah,
I just did Pale Rider or whatever. Like,
yeah, and there's not really anything in this script that's just like, oh wow, I this stands out. Well, I gotta do this.
No, and I think that's how you end up with Burt, right? All those other guys were getting other better stuff. Mel Gibson he does Lethal Weapon this this year 87 is when Lethal Weapon comes out. Yeah. So you talk about there's a way better script with him to do stuff in and a way more interesting character than this. But it is a thing where we were talking about that on one of those commentaries with all the people they offered Die Hard to. And it is just kind of like when you read these lists, it's like they clearly just had the same 8 guys on a list for any action thing,
It is interesting how the same thing happened for the 2 movies, and it's so polar opposite the what happened. Getting Bruce Willis for Die Hard was such a revelation for Hollywood, and this is kind of what everybody was expecting Die Hard to be. It's like Bruce Willis as an action hero.
Well, and that's sort of the thing is like you're talking about guys like Gibson and Willis and Keaton and Gere and all those guys are on the ascendant, and we're watching Burt kind of falling here.
That's true. Yeah, they're kind of rising, so they have like that youthful sort of energy to them. Maybe.
Yeah, because Burt's
just like I don't know.
Ford is 2 Indiana Jones movies in at this point. He's not going to do Malone,
absolutely not.
I do love that this is based on a novel called Shotgun.
Yes, I did see that, yeah.
As they talked about, a fairly unknown novel, too. Like, clearly, this studio, I think Orion was just going like, we need an action thing. This is cheap rights. Shotgun. Because I read a lot of books in this genre. I've never heard of that book or this writer.
Nope.
So it is kind of it is a little bit like, oh, okay. William P. I love his name though, William P. Wingate.
It's a great author name for sure.
Yeah. But even still, people say the book is a lot better than this movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
That kind of makes sense to me.
That tracks. Yeah.
This guy talks about it's 100 times better than the lackluster adaptation of the mediocre thriller. I mean, my guess is simply just that whatever happens in the book, there's probably a lot of like, yeah, we can't afford that, can't afford to do this, that, no, that's not going to happen. Right?
Yeah, and if it's told from a first-person perspective, you can at least get the internal logic of the character.
I have to imagine the character work is probably better in the book because you just got that. Because it is sort of, I mean, let's talk about when we meet Malone. He is standing on a clock tower with a rifle, about to assassinate some guy getting off of a seaplane.
And this is halfway through the intro credits, which was a weird choice.
I will say, yes. I will also say, I got to look who did the score for this, because this guy is trying to sell the excitement in every scene of this movie, and you're going like,
yes.
Yeah, it's not. Because
it's not there.
Oh, it's David Newman, who will go on to be a major composer and does.
Yeah, I mean, the score was good. It just it could not make this movie exciting.
No,
it tried.
It's really funny because just like there'll be scenes of Burt just like walking somewhere and it's going dun 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 dun, and you're like,
and they're showing them walking across the bridge for the 4th time. You know?
Yeah, exactly. And this guy is trying to go, well, maybe I can really. I mean, he's trying to elevate the movie.
He
and
is,
you're just like, yeah, I don't know. Bert's like walking up some stairs right now. I don't know. And now Bert's stunt double is running. But yeah, he's got this guy in his sights and he doesn't shoot him. You know what would have made this better if I had any context for what this is or why Burt would feel he shouldn't kill this guy?
Sure. I also, if you're doing like a Man with No Names type story, don't give his backstory. Have hints at it throughout the. Still have his old partner show up at some point.
If you had introduced the CIA, when they're reintroduced, and it's just you see them get the facts, and oh god, it's that guy, that would be like ooh. But yes, I agree. It would have been more interesting to just start with him pulling into the mechanic shop in the small town. You don't know who he is or what he's about. No, we get a scene where he goes, yeah, because this is real. This is another thing too. There's the post Smokey and the Bandit Burt Reynolds, which is everything is real casual. Like everything. I feel like everything after Smokey and the Bandit, he's like, oh great, I can just be on this level forever. And so it is just like it's like, yeah, I'm gonna quit that CIA. I mean, the post Smokey and the Bandit Burt Reynolds is the one Norm Macdonald was doing the impression of, just the guy going,
yes,
yeah, it's funny, yeah, you know,
yeah, it's funny,
yeah.
Funny.
This is a guy making Cannonball Run and stuff like that, where you're going like, and literally, I have watched, because, you know, look, the people shouldn't be surprised if they've listened to the show. I'm the kind of nerd who's watching old Siskel and Ebert episodes, but a lot of their reviews of '80s Burt Reynolds movies are like, come on, man, we know you're talented. What are you doing?
Yeah, you're clearly phoning it in, and it's sad.
I think that's a big reason Burt's career hit the skids is he got lazy. It's not that people didn't like him, because in the late 70s, Burt was, and this is, I want to state this to people, because I think Burt has become such a pop culture figure just as a person, and that Norm Macdonald impression is part of it. But in the late 70s, Burt was the #1 highest grossing actor. He was the most popular movie star in America. Yes. Which seems crazy, I think, to people now, but you're like, oh, but if you go back and watch those 70s Burt movies, I just watched Deliverance again the other day, and I'm like, oh shit, right.
He's like really good in that movie.
He's really fucking good. He's in the best shape you've ever seen him in. He is pure action hero, but he's playing a character with a lot of levels, and you're like, oh right. And I think that's what Boogie Nights was. It was like, oh shit, right. If you give him good material and he tries, this guy's amazing. So I think that, but I would say even everything in this, and he's always watchable. That's the thing is, he got lazy because he could skate by in his Christmas, because I still like him in this movie. I still like Burt Reynolds. But it is just kind of like, yeah, man, I'm not going to kill people with CIA anymore. And this is where we get his first one-liner, where she says, well, what are you going to tell the company? He says, goodbye.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Thanks, Burt.
Yeah. Yeah. And cut to then Burt's driving through the woods. This is in Comstock, Oregon. This movie takes place. which is
Yeah,
a real
I remember
place.
reading that it was in Oregon somewhere, but then watching, I'm like, yeah, this looks like Eastern Oregon for sure.
It's of course British Columbia, but I mean
Mm.
that's about right.
Yeah,
The town, yeah, they filmed the thing in Headley, British Columbia, but so I mean it is Pacific Northwest though.
yes,
It takes place in
exactly.
Comstock, Oregon, which is a real town here.
Mhm.
I looked it up. It's about 20 miles south of Eugene.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
gotcha.
and it's just a little town. I mean, I think it's somewhat as portrayed here. But
Yeah,
it's one of those things where I go like, I feel like I've heard that as a real city in Oregon, and it is.
yeah.
And so yeah, his car breaks down, and he pulls into this little mechanic shop run by Scott Wilson.
Mhm.
Just God doing his best, man. Scott Wilson
He's
in this
really
movie
trying.
it's one of those things where that dude, man, was just such a good actor that I am going like, man, you are imbuing this with as much character and gravitas as you can for this
Mhm.
very thinly written character. But
Yes.
the guy's got I mean, the thing this movie has working for it, and like we're talking about, is everyone is good here. So even though the
Mhm.
script is pretty thin, everybody is at
Mhm.
least bringing something. You're like, okay,
Yeah.
you're acting, which
Mhm.
we're not
Yes.
always used to on this show. So it is nice to see people going like, okay, you're at least trying to give some internal life to this total sketch of a character.
You're not just reading the script.
Right. So yeah, he pulls into the thing here. He goes, yeah, I think there's something wrong with the car. And he's driving this pretty cool car.
It's a Mustang, right?
Yeah, it's a Mustang. It's another very 1987 thing. This is on TV and in movies, right? Your hero needs a cool car.
Yeah.
Yeah, you gotta, yeah. And was gonna take a little bit. The thing I didn't fully understand is the shift between him dropping the car off and then him suddenly just living here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't. Is it like a thing where the car's gonna take a while? They gotta get parked. I don't know, but it seems like all of a sudden I'm like, oh wait, he's just staying here now.
Yeah, that is a little strange. Because it is supposed to take a couple of days. Because I think they're waiting on specific parts to show up,
Yeah.
or something.
Well, because
like that.
they're in this tiny little town. You know, I mean, like,
Mhm.
was this guy? This guy's used to doing like, and we see the other work he has is like tuning up tractor engines and stuff. It's not like
Yes.
he's not ready to fix this high end automobile.
I mean, who knows? Yeah, they didn't really bother to explain why he knew so much about this Mustang.
But yeah, he's there, and
I guess we're also supposed to assume that there's no motel or anything in this.
it's got to be because
town,
he's
I
gonna
guess.
stay with this mechanic and his daughter,
Yeah.
his hot daughter who's way into him. I do feel like this
Yeah.
is the ultimate like big dick movie star thing in this movie is that there'd be a hot young actress who wants him and he doesn't get it on with her. Almost feels
That
like
is
more
mhm.
ego for Burt.
Yes, it is a. It's kind of like a staple of like the Sigma male sort of philosophy, if you want to call it a philosophy. You
Yeah.
know, of like he's so cool and detached and everything that he gets offers and he turns them down.
Yeah. Don't worry though. Bert's still gonna bang somebody in this movie, just not this girl.
Yes. Yeah.
I will
and
say
he is going to full on kiss this teenage girl.
Oh,
on the
that was
lips, which
insane.
made me very uncomfortable.
It really, because the whole time she started flirting with him, I'm like, I do not want to see a
Please
sex
don't.
scene with Burt and Cynthia Gibb. Not at all.
Please don't.
Not once.
Yeah.
And then when he did kiss her, I was like, oh my God, why?
Yeah. Why?
But it is
so
almost like,
unnecessary.
here's a little something for you, huh? Put that in the bank, huh?
Yeah, that'll keep you going.
Yeah. It is just, I'm just going. And once again, any of those other actors I mentioned, well, maybe not Schwarzenegger, but the rest of them would be, it would feel less weird. If Harrison Ford,
Yes.
if this girl was into Harrison Ford or something like that, it would be less, well, Clint would also be a little weird.
Yeah.
Because Clint playing any kind of sexuality or romance was always weird. I always thought, like,
Yes.
he doesn't really have romances in like the Dirty Harry movies or the Man with No Name movies. Like that really isn't a
No.
Clint thing. And I think he was always smart enough to kind of go like, yeah, no,
Yeah, that's not really my strength.
I don't
Sorry.
do that well.
Yeah.
No, because it's always just like, I mean, maybe there were some similar things like this where it's like they like him, but he's just so stoic.
Yes, exactly.
But so, because he's got a dead wife. If you remember in Dirty Harry, he's widowed.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the
Yes.
thing where it's like, I had a wife, but she's dead, and now I just shoot bad guys. So she does immediately. She asked him. She goes. She goes. This is another one. These are very Burt one-liners, by the way, because they're literally one word. The goodbye, and then this one, she goes, "You got a first name?" He goes, "Yeah," and then just walks away. Holy shit! And then she is just even hornier for him based on that.
Yes.
Which
He's
is
like,
like-
oh man, he's such a dick.
I
So
love
attracted to his
this
submissive-
slightly paunchy middle-aged man with a horrible hairpiece.
with a horrible hairpiece and tight jeans.
Oh, tight jeans that I think make him look heavier than he is because the gut, it's pushing the gut out a little bit. I am going, Bert's not in terrible shape, but he's looking, he's a 50-something-year-old man. He's looking a little paunchy here.
Yeah.
And I think the tight jeans are accentuating that belly, which is like, that's bad. Costumers.
Yes.
Costumers. Come on, man.
Please. This is not mid-70s Burt anymore, okay? We can't keep dressing it this way.
It is kind of, I do think that seemed to be the reaction to this movie, too, looking at stuff from the era. It's kind of like, I don't know that you're this guy anymore, Burt.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's not, man, I mean, once again, we know it gets worse because we've seen Rent-A-Cop.
Yes.
Which is horrible. So anyway, this, so he's gonna, for some reason, stay with them. Immediately we see that there's trouble and people are trying to shake down this attendant because okay, let's get into this. What are the villains in this movie doing?
They are either a white supremacist group or a cult, and they do not specify anything.
This is one of my problems with the movie is they give them all this like aesthetic and like vibe, but I don't know, but they don't commit fully to. They are some sort of government separatist, like they are a cult of some sort, but the movie in no way digs into what their actual like beliefs are. They're talking very white supremacist though. They are talking about like the blood of patriots and stuff. I wish that they had gone all the way in because I go like, ooh, I like this. I like the sketch of the villains of this movie. And like this idea that they're like buying up towns all over the country so that they can install their true. They needed to just go full at, pure blood white,
Well, it's sort of an interesting thing to have the villains be white supremacists when every single actor in the movie is white. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it's like,
that might be why. That might be why they didn't go full on at that.
Probably,
because it is like, they never actually do. They never. It's pretty easy to be a white supremacist if you never meet anyone of color ever.
Exactly, yeah, and it's also kind of hard to like make them menacing if they don't have any targets for their terrorism or whatever.
Well, that's it exactly. And there is no, and we're going to place a bomb into the whatever, like I said, that's the thing where you're missing is you're going like, okay, what they're doing is clearly bad, but I'm not sure of the imminent threat of these guys.
Yes. Yeah, there is no ticking clock until his partner dies. He's like, well, I have to go do this now.
But then it's just out
like
of,
you said, 20 minutes left.
It's just out of vengeance. It's still not like, if I don't stop them, then there's a huge missed opportunity because when we get to Cliff Robertson, he's having like lunch with all these muckety muck politician guys, and they're going, "When are you going to run for Senate?" I'm like, that should be the plot, shouldn't it be that he is? And then the countdown is to the election.
Ooh, yeah, that'd be something.
Wouldn't that have been something? And then it's like this whole thing where it's like, once I get into office, then that gives us a foothold in the government, and that's something. I mean, that's very like Manchurian Candidate kind of stuff, but dude, this movie's not trying to be original, so just go at it, man. Instead, it's just they're so vague. They're just so vague.
Yeah, and
about
that vagueness lends to the sleepiness of the film and completely cuts out any tension.
And it also
at
doesn't
all.
give, once again, another great actor like Cliff Robertson a lane really to play. He's doing the best he can with the vagaries, but it does seem like he must have had to come up with something that motivates this guy.
Yeah.
Because
Oh yeah.
he's doing these speeches, and you are going like, well, shit, you're a good enough actor, Cliff Robertson. By the way, yeah, this is, for those who don't, Cliff Robertson, people would know as Uncle Ben from the Sam Raimi Spider-Man movies. Is probably what he would be best known for today, but a legendary actor of the 60s and 70s. He would have even been more interesting as Malone.
Yeah,
because he's and he's also the president in Escape from L.A., which is a movie I'm a big defender of. So but yeah, so I just that was something I just kept going. It's like, yeah, what are these guys? And then but then the other thing is, then he's got these real dumb henchmen.
so stupid. They're like literally, they can be talked into anything, or talked out of anything.
And it is sort of this this guy who's got this real slick kind of military setup and stuff. Then he's got these real yokel kind of oh yeah, boss, we're gonna get him. And you're like, what? Also, very Oregonian kind of guys too. Yep. I mean, it is it does look like the Pacific Northwest, but everybody's acting like it's backwoods Kentucky.
Yes,
which is
true.
a little, whatever.
Yeah.
And so they do talk about all and we see them. They even walk through, and every business is closed in the town. And this is all fine as setup. I'm going okay, sure, yeah, bad guys buying up town. But at this point, I'm still thinking this is evil, corrupt businessman we're dealing with. I'm not, which even that's the other route they could have gone, is way simplified. The threat is just to the people of this town, and you don't have to make, it doesn't have to be. You think about most Jack Reacher novels and stuff are just guy is, has taken over town and is hurting people, and he has to be stopped. It's rare that it's and then he'll take over the country.
Right. Yes. Why did it need national sort of stakes?
Well, it's an interesting lesson in screenwriting, because sometimes that actually makes me feel less stakes. Stakes would be more intense if it was just, we established the people of this town and we like them, and here's a guy who's hassling them.
Yes.
And it would just be a shame if something happened to your store kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
And I still am, because they all got that kind of accent. Anyway, now we got Cynthia Gibb poking around Burt Reynolds' room, and she finds a bunch of cash in his jacket, and then a big old fucking hand cannon.
What kind of gun is this, John?
I can tell you what kind of gun this is, listener.
All right.
This is a 44 Magnum, but this is the automatic 44 Magnum.
God,
the 44 Auto Mag. So this gun is ridiculous. Yes, it's the Auto Mag AMC 44 AMP Auto. And that is a ridiculous gun. And Burt said he specifically requested that gun because he wanted one that was a little bit better than Clint's.
But I feel like it's less iconic than Clint's. You know what I mean? The limitations of it being a revolver. That's why his gun is cool.
Exactly.
A cop wouldn't have that gun.
And this gun also, it doesn't look as cool as the 44 Magnum. It's a weird. It's a weird,
like a real gun.
No,
honestly.
that's it exactly. The 44 Auto Mag looks kind of like a sci-fi gun. It's a little too futuristically designed. And so I did go I've seen that. And there's actually a thing in Sudden Impact, if you remember, Clint does use this briefly.
I do not remember.
And then rejects it. I wonder if that's just back and forth with these guys. There is a scene where he tries the Auto Mag, and he's like, fuck you, Burt. But I love the idea of him going yeah, I want the gun that's even more powerful than Clint's, because Clint can suck it.
Yeah.
Apparently,
he thinks he's so fucking talented, getting offered this role before me.
Yeah. Well, apparently it was the case that Burt really saw Clint as his rival, And if that's the case, Clint won, man.
Yeah, even with Burt's career revival in the 90s, it does not compare to, like, Clint went on to be an Oscar
Clint
winning or nominated director.
Yeah, multiple Oscars for directing, because he also, I think he won for Unforgiven, and I think he also won for $1 Million Baby.
Oh, that's right. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it's like, well, yeah, Clint, it is sort of like, yeah, Burt, I've made the transition to prestige films. Like, Clint, if you think of it, Clint has an amazing career, because not many people go from action icon to beloved American filmmaker. That's a hard, you know, or it is. But yeah, it is sort of like, yeah, and Burt directed a couple movies that are okay. I like Shark.
He saw what Clint was doing, and he's just like, yeah, I can do that.
He did. I mean, it is interesting. If you look at their careers, I can see that he was trying to run against Clint, because they started about the same time. They had their high points at the same time. Mm-hmm. Oh, no, he did not direct and star in a production of Death of a Salesman. Oh, he did. He did. That has to be horrible.
I realize that it's probably not recorded, but if it was, I would give anything to see
Burt
that.
starred in and directed a production of Death of a Salesman.
Yeah, it's me, Willie Loman.
How you doing? Yeah,
how you doing?
I'm a salesman. Whatnot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking at the movies he did. Like, I mean, Sharky's Machine is good, but I'll even say Sharky's Machine is like a Dirty Harry knockoff. Like, it's him going like. Burt. Yeah. Have your
own identity. Don't just be the counterpoint to anything Clint Eastwood does.
But there is something funny about that. And when I saw the gun, I went, "Oh, that's the automatic 44 Magnum. Interesting choice." Also, for here's the thing, for this character, and we've talked about. I'm a gun guy in the aesthetics of this, but one of the things I do think about writing like action things, I do think about what gun would this character carry? Like that's, and a guy who is a trained tactical agent, they don't carry massive hand cannons.
No.
This guy would, there's a reason that Bond carries a Walther. It's concealable. It has power, but it's efficient and small. This guy should be, realistically, he might have like either a 45 or like a 38 revolver on him or something like that. And instead, it's just Burt going like, "I need my big swinging dick out there." Well, as soon as he comes in and he's Richard Malone, I just kept thinking, he goes, "Call me Big Dick Malone."
I'm surprised he never said that.
Yeah, it's me, Big Dick Malone. Somebody goes, "Okay, Dick." Nah. Big Dick.
Big Dick. Say the whole thing.
Yeah. Did you see, you want to see my gun?
Yeah. Get on Clint's.
Yeah. You see those movies with Clint? This one's bigger. I think that's a key difference is Burt was trying to be a badass and Clint just was kind of effortlessly a badass too.
Yeah.
Like it just sort of like, so they, but yeah, this is, when they're working at the mechanic shop. Oh, this made me laugh. They're working in the mechanic shop, and this guy comes over, and he goes, "Oh, is my tractor done? They've been trying to get me out of my farm. They're trying to buy me out of my farm." And then when he gets on his bicycle, and this car comes out of nowhere and kills this guy, one thing we love on the action shelf is a dummy. And when this dummy hit the windshield of this car, I
laughed so hard.
Dude, this might be kill of the movie right here. It's pretty fucking funny.
Yeah, it's up there for sure.
It's pretty funny when this guy just, and like we cut to a Cynthia Gibb horrified scream. It's pretty great. Because it's just a scene where it's like, yeah, anyway, I gotta go. And he's dead. And you're like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and then it cuts to, there wasn't any autopsy or anything. He's just going straight into a hearse.
Yep, right. Sending him right to the cemetery. By the way,
right into a hearse that has wood paneling on the side. So
the Brady Bunch loaned them the family car to transport this
exactly.
And there is the bad guys are like, "Oh well, I don't know. We were just driving, and he came out of nowhere."
Yeah.
And Burt's like,
that is what they talk like. They're like, "Dark."
They really do, and they're all like big fat dummies, and I had to look because I thought this really rotund henchman was also the fat henchman from Roadhouse, but he's not. But he looks exactly the same as that guy.
He does. He's that type of actor or that type of character.
And also, is the kind of guy when he squares off with Burt, I'm like, I get you're like a big guy, but I can't imagine you have any actual fighting skill. And he doesn't. Burt destroys him, which is pretty great later.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it is immediately we're at that guy's funeral in a cemetery that's just a dirt patch, basically.
Yes.
That's pretty sad.
Yeah, it's about the dirt patch the size of my small one-bedroom apartment.
It's like, well, we've buried 5 bodies and we're at max capacity here.
All right. Well,
yeah.
I don't know what we're supposed to. I guess we'll bury people on top of other people. I don't really know what else to do.
But then it cuts to Los Angeles, and I went, whoa.
Yes, that was jarring. It's just this one scene. It's all of a sudden in Los Angeles.
It's just this one scene, and the only black guy in the movie, now that I think about it, is this guy who's going to get assassinated here. And he's running, it's not the NAACP, but the organization has some name like that, right?
Yes.
It's some kind of association for advancement of something, you know. And it's just the most obvious assassin guy. And this is one of those scenes where as soon as this guy gets out of his car, the music is going, bum, bam, boom, bam, boom, bam, boom, bam. And the guy is just walking upstairs in this building.
Staircase,
and I'm going, I don't even know. I don't know why we're in LA. I don't know who this guy is, but the movie is trying to tell me this is exciting.
Yeah, it's not.
And he just goes, oh, we have a big check we want to give you. And the guy's like, oh, really? And he's like, yep, it's right here in this briefcase, but it's a gun, and I shot him.
Why is
No
this
idea.
scene in the movie?
I have no idea.
Why do they need to set up this character? Because he's not like that much of a obstacle for Burt once they actually square off.
No, this
so
guy
I don't
is just
really
sort of
know.
like one of Cliff Robertson's guys throughout the rest of the movie.
Exactly.
But he is. I thought this was going to be a character maybe where they'd establish him, and then it's like once Burt causes trouble, they're like, we got to call in Granger or whatever, you know?
Or maybe there's a history between him and Burt.
Well, there's something. This guy is also a CIA, because they do set up that the CIA sends Lauren Hutton to kill him later, but she just immediately doesn't, and you also know she's not going to. It would have been more interesting if they had sent a guy who was like, we trained together, but now I got to kill you, Malone, or something like that. That would have been something, or in this case, because Burt's old enough, he could have been his protege even, or something like that.
Yeah.
That could have been something.
Be
No, at every turn, once again, this movie's not
interesting.
This movie's not horrible. It's just not doing anything interesting. It's just sort of going like, nah, you know what? We'll just keep going like this. And I did just think, okay. And I do. When we meet Cliff Robertson, he's giving this sort of vague bad guy speech in front of an American flag. And the classic, by God, if you have a militia or something in a movie, someone will mention the Thomas Jefferson line about the occasionally this country needs to be, was it cleansed by the blood of patriots?
Yes,
I've heard this.
All patriots here.
I've heard that quote in a billion action movies of some kind of super patriotic villain has said that in some sort of misguided way, because you're like, oh yeah, sure. But I'm going like, okay. And I do also love they have this whole high-tech computer lab and stuff like that.
I didn't understand their weird like tech base, because there's also never a time where all the monitors have like people working in there. It's always empty and dark. I'm like, okay, what is this?
Speaks to budget.
Where are we?
Yeah. It's like it is the sort of thing where it's like, well, we want the bad guy to have a lair. Okay, well, we'll just put a bunch of tech shit in there.
Yeah,
and you're like,
but it's not.
No.
It's not very interesting to look at. It does just look like a basement room with a bunch of computer monitors.
And literally at the end of the movie, when they have their big confrontation there, him and Burt, it is just all in shadow.
Yes, and like Burt was constantly leaning in and out of shadows in a way that's trying to be intimidating.
I'm going like, I
Okay.
understand, but it's just sort of like, hey, a little too late movie to try to get artsy all of a sudden. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Burt's in the
Yeah.
shadows, and they've got Cliff Robertson with just the strip of light over his eyes that they've done. And you're like, man, this
As
is
he's monologuing.
yeah, oh boy. So that's layer, but yeah, I just didn't understand what any of this was. Anyway, this is another stupid thing on the henchmen are just, joy riding around on the back of this pickup truck. And they spot Cynthia Gibb and Burt Reynolds on this bridge. They're like, hold up, let's hassle them.
Yeah. And this is the bridge that they have every other scene in.
Well, this bridge is one of the main characters of the movie.
Exactly. It's like New York in any...
It's like that bridge was another character in the movie.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, and they're gross to the girl and saying stuff, and then this big guy's like, "You want to go?" I do like
disrespected me.
I do like he takes one god awful punch at Burt, a horrible aimless swing. Burt traps his arm, and then I do love repeatedly kicks him in the balls.
Yes, which is great.
I appreciate that in movies because it is like, I know that scene, people talk about, well, that's not manly. It's like, dude, that'll end a fight pretty fucking quick.
Yeah, it's not about like it being a good sport. It's about how do I incapacitate this person as quickly as possible.
And I will
so
actually
don't
say,
have to deal with them anymore.
the way Burt dispatches this guy is done in a way that somebody trained to fight would do. He hits him in the balls a couple times, and then he bursts his eardrums.
Yes.
And just drops him. And I went, okay, that's pretty good movie, actually. I'll give him that.
Yeah.
Now,
I mean,
I don't.
The editing around this, because it's very clearly a stuntman.
It's a lot of Burt like reeling
choppy.
back to do stuff, and then Burt Malone's hands hitting the guy. Yeah, I will say, much like everything in the movie, clearly Burt's laziness is a problem.
Yes.
Yeah, just I don't want to learn that choreography, so whatever.
Can you imagine John Wick, but Keanu Reeves didn't learn any choreography?
I actually was thinking this, watching this, going, this just wouldn't fly today. Like, people expect so much more out of action heroes now in a world where we have Keanu and Tom Cruise, and even the Marvel guys who wear masks so much are still doing most of that stuff. I mean, Tom Holland talks about, like, I want it to be as much me in the Spider-Man suit as it can. It's like, yeah, there is sort of a thing of now we really expect that, but back then you could just do this shit. It didn't.
Yep.
It's insane to me that you just be like, yeah. Now it'd be like, all right, well then you're not going to be in the movie. We'll get somebody who will do. And none of this is complex martial arts either.
Nope. No.
We could have picked this up, but of course then Burt does spin around and go, anyone else?
No.
And of course they back off. I do love later when they're talking about, they're super pissed, and he goes, they say he can't have kids. So Burt exploded this man's testicles with his kicks.
Apparently.
Yeah. Oh, they're gone.
He's like, well,
he
might have been a
popped
good
them.
thing.
Yeah. Oh, I did write that down. He goes, he can't have children. He goes, might be a blessing. Which I will say is one of the moments where I'm like, okay, yeah, more of that. That's the kind of stuff we want Burt to say.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, he was sweet dreams, asshole. He does. I wanted more of that energy. Raven is still as terrible as that movie is. It's still the best use of Burt I think we've seen.
Yes.
Because it is just like, oh yeah, he just gets to be shitty to everyone. That's perfect. Yeah, sweet dreams, asshole. Yeah. So they're all upset, and then this guy's brother is getting drunk. This scene is insane, man.
This scene makes no fucking sense. It's almost dream logic, because the decisions people make are so strange. Well, especially this guy.
Yeah.
Just being talked into taking a gun to the the barber shop very easily.
Yeah. And this guy,
talked into walking into traffic.
This drunk, vengeful brother is an actor named Tracy Walter, who I know because he is the Joker's main henchman in 1989's Batman. He is the legendary Bob the Goon.
Oh,
A,
didn't
a,
know
a
that.
character who is legendary because, due to, I don't know exactly what the deal with this was, his action figure was the first available in '89. And so a
Oh.
tired generation of kids were disappointed when only Bob the Goon was available in stores after that movie came out. So Bob the Goon became quite legendary for that. But yeah, he doesn't have like a lot, but he's always next to Nicholson in that movie.
Yeah.
He's like,
yeah.
so that's what I immediately, I'm like, oh my god, that's Bob the Goon. 2 years before Batman, and a million other. He's one of those guys who's in a billion movies in this size of part. And once again, nothing against him here. It's just an insane scene. But they're like, he's getting drunk, and they're like, hey, how about this, buddy? You know the guy who did that to your brothers across the street. Why don't you take this gun and go get him?
Yeah, and we're going to be watching from 15 feet away.
I do love the way they're kind of just like several steps behind him, but following him, but just going like, and then he'll look back. There's like, no, go ahead, get him in there. Yeah. And he goes in because Burt and Scott Wilson are getting haircuts at the barber shop. It's Floyd the Barber from Andy Griffith. Everybody. Oh, gee, you guys gotta wait your turn.
He's getting a different hairpiece installed. I
Yeah.
think.
Hey there, fit me for a new wig. I do like one of the IMDb trivia points in this movie is Burt Reynolds wears a very obvious hairpiece in this. I'm like, oh, you know shit.
You think so? Is that trivia? I don't know if that's trivia. If it's just super obvious
Just
to
fact.
anybody who watches.
I
the
just
movie.
noticed that from the poster. And I will say I thought his hairpiece in Rent-A-Cop was bad, but this is even worse.
This is a terrible one.
This might be the worst hairpiece I've ever seen on film, where I'm going like, I can't believe somebody didn't go, hold up, we've got to change this. This looks awful.
You can see two different hair textures right next to each other.
It is
not a
another
good
one of
thing.
these things though too, where it's like he would look better if he just was bald in this.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
like it's. I think now that's a thing where we see less of that now. We see actors who, well, I mean, we'll talk. I mean, Bruce Willis will be an action hero who goes bald and just owns it. You know, but I mean, today's world's Vin Diesel and Jason Statham and stuff like that. I feel like the bald action hero like is a thing.
Yeah. Yes,
and if anything, yeah, the shaved head, Michael Chiklis and stuff like that. The shaved head has become like, oh, that guy's a badass.
Yeah. It was. I don't know when that started to be a thing, but maybe like late 90s.
Maybe late 90s. I will say this 1987 is the same year Star Trek The Next Generation premieres, though. And I think Patrick Stewart was kind of at the forefront of that.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I do think I remember as a kid, he was the first bald badass I was a fan of. Like, I was like, oh, yeah, don't fuck with Captain Picard. But you're talking about one of my lifetime heroes was Jean-Luc Picard.
Yeah.
So,
Yes.
and they did run a test on a hairpiece for him. The studio was worried that people wouldn't watch the show. And apparently they said it looked so bad that they went, you know what? No, forget it.
Just let him be bald,
Yeah,
man.
actually, you know what? He looked better the other way. And you get this is really where I went, okay, this is a Dirty Harry scene when he's got the newspaper and the gun supposedly under it.
Yes.
We also do get a joke where the guy goes like, yeah, nothing but his pecker under there and probably a small one.
Wow, did you just play a clip from the movie, John?
Sorry, yeah, that was me. I queued that up. Yeah. I mean, that is,
Okay, yeah.
but honestly, and don't watch this movie, anybody, but don't waste, it's not even worth 90 minutes of your time. That is the level of performance we get from these henchmen in this thing. It really is that bad.
And he's so easily talked out of it. You know what I mean? Like, Birch is like, yeah, I definitely have a gun under this newspaper.
Totally got a gun under here, huh?
Yeah. But there's no tension here. You're not like, ooh, does he have a gun? Doesn't he?
Yeah.
You're just like, he very clearly doesn't have a gun.
Now, see, the difference in the Dirty Harry movies, he would have the gun.
He exactly.
And he would shoot out through the paper and kill the guy. That would be a Dirty Harry thing. Because the guy would go...
Not only a Dirty Harry thing, that's a man with no name.
That is exactly. And that's
poncho is for. It
absolutely.
Covers up him reaching for his gun.
But this is definitively the scene where I went like, ooh, now seeing him try to do a Clint type scene, you really see why he isn't good at this. Because it's just not.
Yeah, and his like the way he's like reclining in this chair looks really uncomfortable as well.
Yeah.
It's like it's almost like he's in a lazy boy reclining chair. You know what I mean?
The whole movie is nothing but Burt lounging.
Yes.
He's just and he's got some fake as fuck paper here too that I can't remember what it is.
Yes.
But it's some made up. I mean, we're being native Oregonians. It is like the Portland Sentinel or something like that. Where you're like, that is not a paper that's ever existed in this town. Oh, apparently, Christopher Lambert was also offered this part from Highlander.
Oh, interesting.
He would have been. I mean, it would have been a bizarre thing that it's a French guy playing Malone, but
yeah,
but
right, he might have been.
He can do this better than Burt could. He's got more of a steely presence to him.
Exactly. Yeah.
And of course, we love him from Mortal Kombat as well.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Very strange casting.
Very strange casting. But I will say one of the highlights of that movie because that he is in.
Yeah,
Lambert is going for it in that movie. Yeah. So he does. It is just his finger, and then they're like, "Oh, he fooled you." And then the guy turns around and fires all the bullets in his gun into the now empty chair where Burt was.
Yeah, I wasn't sure who he would, because like, is he shooting at the dad and the barber? Like, who are you shooting at? Why are you just running while shooting?
Yeah,
like, I don't understand.
But now Burt's behind him with his 44 auto mag and puts this guy. I will say this movie, solid squib work.
There's some
because this guy's chest explodes when he gets hit with this 44.
Like literally, it's as if he got shot with a shotgun.
Yeah,
like his entire back blows out.
Even as powerful as the 44 is, I don't think it would have actually. The bullet is still not. He gets. They clearly squibbed him up with the shotgun squib, which they will use later for a shotgun death that is pretty sick. Which I did like. But yeah, I mean, yeah. So it is like, all right, Burt shot him, but once again, you are just going like. It doesn't have the feel of when Clint drops somebody in a Dirty Harry. Yeah. You're not going like, oh yeah, because the scene. This is one of these things where I'm going like, I don't know, this just isn't constructed super well. Mm-hmm. Like I said, that's the whole movie. It's just like, oh, I mean, yeah, I get that was supposed to be cool and whatever, but
it wasn't.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So he shoots that guy and great.
Shoots that guy.
Yeah. And then
gets arrested.
He gets arrested, and to show that Cliff Robertson's got pull in this town, he's the one who goes in the interrogation room. And you get this weird thing that the movie sets up and then drops, where he goes, "I know you're some kind of CIA spook, so you're probably here to murder me." And he's like, "I don't even know who you are, pal."
I guess you're important or something. I don't remember the specific line,
but it is something like that. You must be the big cheese around here, something like that, kind of thing. He's got some variation on that, but it is just kind of like
this seems weird because there's like, you think about each character in a scene has like something they want out of the other character, and it's not clear what the villain here wants necessarily, because he's like, "You're here to kill me. Hey, do you want to join me?" And Burt doesn't give any like definitive answer at all. He's like, "Okay, well, great talk," and then he leaves.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things where it's like, that's a waste of everyone's time.
Yeah,
because you do get what would have been more interesting is if they had gone harder down. Well, if you're not here to kill me, then you should join me, and really go down like he takes him to the compound and stuff like that. Because that would have at least given some kind of tension to just a man with your skills I could use in my organization or something like that.
Yeah, just mentioning it offhandedly and then completely abandoning that like tactic for whatever reason.
I will say when Cliff Robertson gets the dossier about Burt Reynolds here, because he looks him up on the computer. Did you notice the alias names on him? I have them here.
I did not.
These are Richard Malone's aliases. Frank.
Great.
I will say, and I will read these in order of preposterousness. Frank Haggerty. Okay, sure, whatever. Joseph DeThomas. Alain Coquelin, Nicholas Kosezuko, and then John Ramirez. I love the idea of Burt Reynolds going, "How you doing, John Ramirez? Hola, senor."
Buenos dias.
Yeah. The idea that in any world, Burt Reynolds would be believable as a man named Ramirez.
Nope.
Yeah,
Most certainly wouldn't.
that one really got me. He's just like, Buenos dias and whatnot.
Yeah.
Anyway, that was down when he was fighting the drug wars or whatever in Colombia. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because you do get the list of all the missions he completed, except for the last one was incomplete because he didn't shoot that guy, whoever he was. Once again, could they have tied that? What if that guy had been Cliff Robertson? He didn't kill him, so he then blames himself for everything that happens now. That could have been something.
Be interesting.
That's a thing. I mean, they never find a way until the end where they have to construct it to make it personal for him.
Yes.
There is no.
But that could have been built into the plot of the movie already.
Yeah, you just know.
Yeah.
There's just you just keep going like, and even the character of Malone is like, I don't know what I should do if I should really get involved here. There is just no feeling of like once again, I hate to, but it is because it's so fresh in my mind too. And you can watch the show. I highly recommend the Reacher TV show. But the very first Reacher story, his brother gets murdered in a town. And he's going to look into what's happening. And that you're like, great. That is the motivating factor of literally everything he does in that first novel and first season of the show is every moment you're like, why would he get involved in what's going on in this town? Because somebody killed his brother and he wants answers. Yeah, now that Reacher takes on more of a detective role in a lot of stuff too, because also that would be a great thing too. You never get Burt like poking around trying to expose this organization.
Nope.
In fact, at the end of the movie, when he blows up their compound, I went, didn't he just destroy all the evidence of all the evil deeds they've been up to?
Sure did.
Thereby, I mean, at this point, I'm just going like, Malone is terrible. This is another action movie where I'm like, this guy's terrible. What about all the evidence of these other towns they have and stuff like that? The government should be looking into that.
Yeah, this is only a small cell of this larger organization.
Yeah, Malone,
he's just so. And he's like, I did it.
You got to turn that shit over to the FBI, man. Like, somebody's got to look into this. No, Malone's just like, personal vendetta.
I'm not going to turn it into the FBI. I'm a CIA man myself.
Yeah, who cares? Sadly, that's a little too realistic there.
I know.
It's a little bit of a problem there. Because they get the information, and him looking into the information leads the CIA to go, oh my God, Big Dick Malone's alive. Stop calling him that. He insisted. No.
He had his name legally changed.
But they send Lauren Hutton, who's totally wasted, and eventually literally wasted in this movie.
Yes.
When they killed her, I'm like, dude, I am not one to throw around fridging very much, but that lady got fridged hard.
Full on, yes. You're only in this movie to be murdered.
And
that's the only reason you're here.
Once again, you're going like, but Lauren Hutton's a good actor. This movie has good actors. They just don't do anything with them. Because she's coming off. The script
is boring.
She's coming off of having done American Gigolo with Richard Gere, which is a way better movie. That's like a real. Well, this is a real movie, but then there's I see. She had also done a rom-com with Burt a couple years before this called Paternity.
Gotcha.
So I guess maybe that helped in this. And she had just done future episode Lassiter with Tom Selleck.
Okay, the other mustachioed man.
Yeah, yeah. We have yet to get into Selleck, but next year on the show, I promise people, there will be at least one Selleck movie next year.
Yes, there's gotta be.
Because we do love Selleck as well. But that's the movie where he is an international jewel thief, Lassiter. We're going to do the one where he fights robots on this show, of course, obviously. But
that sounds more like
a robot army commanded by Kiss's Gene Simmons. I think we have to do that movie.
Oof.
That's coming, folks. There's a preview of an episode next year. It is terrible. So they give her this secret untraceable poison that she's supposed to use to kill him. But the second they give it to her, I'm like, obviously she's not gonna try to kill him.
Is she trying to kill him though? Because she keeps giving him beverages. Let's be honest, it's the same cup over and over again. He's like, here,
thanks,
have
doll.
some.
And
he's like, nah, I'm good.
No, because she shows him the poison later and says they wanted me to use this, but instead she's gonna bang him because he's Burt Reynolds and every woman wants him.
Yeah.
There are several Burt Reynolds comedies of the late 70s and early 80s about how this guy just has too much sex.
What a shame.
Can't please all the ladies, huh?
I can certainly try.
Gonna do my best. Yeah, I just go like, those are not some of my favorites where it's just like, we get it. You're like the man. So they send her out to kill Burt Reynolds, which seems kind of dumb that you would send. I mean, I guess they're trying to lure him in, but it does sort of seem like who might be emotionally compromised, maybe send somebody else. Like I said, the more interesting thing would have been kind of what we said earlier, where if she found out they had sent a guy and then she goes to save him,
yes,
that would also have given her some more motivation, because as a character, I don't understand her at all. And it won't matter because she'll just be unceremoniously murdered.
Yep.
In a terrible way, too. They really horrifyingly kill her.
Yes, it is a horrifying death. Suffocation is brutal.
And then we haven't been talking about, but just through this whole movie, there are these weird, flirty scenes with him and teenage Cynthia Gibb.
Yes.
And they're all just awkward and terrible.
They're not good. And it'd be one thing if he was like, if she was attracted to him and he was just like, please no, like, this is not happening.
No, but he's almost like, there's the scene where she comes to him in the bed and he's like seductively lying. She's like, hi there.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah. No, he's almost like, your daughter wants to screw me. That's pretty sweet.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah, he goes, oh, I'm not going to do anything about it. I'm not a creep, but I'm enjoying it. You know, like
sure. Yeah. I'm enjoying the attention, you know.
Yeah. Where it's, once again, you talk about like in Lethal Weapon, he finds it funny, but not in a, like, Mel Gibson's like, your daughter's got the hots for me. Like, but he's not like egging her on in any way. He's just like,
no.
And they're just like, oh, that's, of course. It's almost cute in that. They're like, oh, she's 14 and she's into this guy, you know.
Yes.
And there's and of course he's not going to do anything about that.
No, it's never even in question. Like, it's never even like, will he? Won't he? You know. Whereas this movie, I'm like, this movie might go either way.
No, through the whole movie, I was waiting for where they get into the bed, and I was like, oh, please, God, I do not want to see Burt Reynolds railing a teenager. So the police come and search Burt Reynolds' room at the place and go, do you have any more guns? And he goes, no, that was my only gun. But then we'll find out he hid a shotgun in the like mechanism of his car. Under the car. Yeah.
Which makes me think, how did they not find it while fixing the car?
Yeah, I know, right?
Like, they've been working under that car for theoretically a couple of days, and nobody's noticed a shotgun lodged up in there.
I just love that. And I love the scene. He doesn't do anything with the shotgun immediately. It's like the police go, okay, well, I guess you don't have any more guns. And then he goes down to the garage and gets that. And there's almost a shot of Burt that's like, suckers.
Exactly.
Yeah, I got one. That's right. Yeah. This is a big Second Amendment movie. No.
Yeah.
It doesn't fetishize guns as much as some of the stuff we've watched, but it is just kind of like, you're not going to keep me away from my gun, pal. But also, why are they searching for other guns? I mean, did Burt have that Magnum illegal? I also like that they really set up the Magnum. He uses it once and then we never see it again. It gets lost there. I'm just going like, well, they kind of set up that he has a signature weapon and then they don't do anything else with it.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the poster for this movie is him holding that gun.
Yes.
And it does seem like, okay, that's going to be the thing in this movie. Nope.
Yeah. No, it's not.
Yeah. He uses the shotgun and then he's just got a Beretta at the end.
Yeah, because he been charged with anything because obviously the guy rushed at him firing a weapon.
I mean, that was a justified shoot. He did shoot him in self. He shoots at the chair, and Burt even pulls the gun on him and goes, "Drop it," and the guy doesn't, and he shoots him. So he still even gives him further warning.
So I don't know why. Yeah, I don't know why they'd have to search his and like take any weapons from him. If he legally speaking didn't do anything.
But Burt
wrong.
was ready for the situation, so he stashed a gun.
Apparently,
I guess. So he hid the shotgun. And then we get here comes mysterious hitman to kill Burt Reynolds.
Yes,
and he brings his car in. And this is such a weird scene because he's talking to Cynthia Gibb, and then he's crushing her hand into the handle of like a gas pump nozzle.
Yeah, but it doesn't really look like he's doing it, so it feels very weird with her trying her best to pretend like her hand is being
throughout
crushed.
This whole movie. Countless times watching, I said, "Oh, poor Cynthia Gibb. God damn, she has the worst things to do in this movie." And she also, I don't know how she ended up in this because at this time she was an up and comer in like teen movies and stuff like that. She had she just done, or she's about to do. She had just done the year before Youngblood, which is a pretty good hockey movie with Rob Lowe and Patrick Swayze, and you're like, yeah, that's a better thing. She's the love interest for Rob Lowe in a movie before this. So think about that. She just had to be hot and heavy with Rob Lowe, and now her next co-star is Burt Reynolds.
Yeesh. Yeah.
And then oh god, she'd also just worked with James Woods in Salvador, though.
Oh no.
Who knows what he said or did on that set.
Yeah.
Don't worry though, her next movie is her and James Spader, so she's back on track.
Okay. Well,
so yeah, once again, this is a total blip on her career that, you know, it was sort of like, I don't think people are like, "Oh, she was in that?" But yeah, this scene, and he's like, I also love, okay, I know you're a professional assassin, but he's going like, which room is he in? Which side of the house? Which window? Which thing? It's just like, Jesus Christ, man. Also, she saw him a couple minutes ago. Did he get up and go to the bathroom? Like, I don't know.
Could be, yeah.
This guy's approach is really dumb.
Yes, it is.
But we do get
I'm
to...
an assassin. Just letting you know.
Yeah, we do get to, and I was so glad when he pulled it out. Uzis, man. It's an 80s action movie, and they've got Uzis. I was like, yes.
Why does an assassin have an Uzi?
No, it's
like I was telling Maggie this. Like, that makes no sense.
It's an
at
incredibly dumb weapon.
Yes, it's a
Once
stupid
again,
weapon.
It's like the Automag too. These guys are professional assassins carrying really like dumb guy, like macho guy weapons. You know, where you're like,
yes,
you know, but you don't hear a lot about professional assassins using automatic, like machine pistols or
they're not reliable.
They're not reliable.
They're not accurate.
And it's not accurate when they shoot Burt. When they will shoot Burt, they just catch him on the side because the guy is spraying wildly at him.
Yes, exactly.
But she screams out, "Malone!" when they approach him, and he blows this guy. This is pretty good. I did like this. This guy, you get the shotgun squib, and this guy bursts through the railing of the stairs. You gotta like that. You gotta love it.
It's great.
And I am going like, but I will say that's kind of the thing where it is like this movie's pretty sleepy. That when it does go like, oh, I need more Burt with a shotgun in this movie.
Yeah. The fact that did he use any gun in the final confrontation?
He has, yes, but it's real quick. Like he shoots the one guy in the head after he's cornered him, and then he shoots Cliff Robertson.
Oh, I guess he does shoot Cliff Robertson.
He just has it. Well, he actually is carrying what he should be carrying the whole time, which is like a Beretta. That's more of a tactical like weapon you would carry as a soldier or something like that.
Yeah.
But that's it. Yeah. But other than that, it's a lot of that hay bale hit that guy and now he's dead. You know.
Yeah.
Which is just kind of.
I don't know why he'd be dead, but he is.
Well, I also love that the thing that. Well, we'll get to it. We'll talk about that when we get there. But anyway, he shoots that guy, and then the other guy's spraying bullets at him with the Uzi and catches him on the side. He'll take this guy out because he's driving away, and Malone shoots the gas pump.
Yes, because during the interrogation scene with Cynthia Gibb, she's filling up the gas tank constantly.
Yeah.
To the point where it's overflowing.
Yeah.
I'm like, why are they letting her do that? I don't understand. I don't understand.
It's just
obviously
it's just to set this up.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
But this car goes up, man.
Yes, which is great.
It is great because I
love a good explosion.
It's 1987. It's a real practical explosion. It looks good. But it is just like, okay, cool. I don't know, man. Sure. So that guy explodes. But Burt's injured. Oh no. The sheriff shows up then and is gonna drive Burt to the hospital. But the car runs off the road?
So this was implying, because obviously the cops were in on the bad guys.
Yeah.
But I didn't understand what this guy's plan was here, because he was just driving really erratically.
Yeah.
Through this, like...
I think...
backwater road.
Here's my take. Burt's injured, right? And they're talking about, you got to get him to the hospital fast. I think and this is very stupid. I think but I think what he's trying to do is drive on the roughest terrain to keep opening up the wound, so maybe he'll bleed out by the time they get to the hospital. And then he can be like, oh no, I guess he died on the way. I think that's what he's doing.
Yes, but
he ends up doing it.
That's so uncertain.
Well, and also it goes very poorly because he ends up just full on losing control of the car and crashing and dying.
Yes. Because Burt takes the wheel. He like pulls at the wheel.
That's what it is, which is very. And they crash into a tree, and this guy dies because you get the great scene where they go, "Yeah, the guy driving Malone crashed his car." It's like, poor guy, he died in the crash. They're like, yeah, poor Malone. Oh no, Malone's still alive. It was the deputy.
I don't know how.
And I did write down Cliff Robertson's one-liner to the sheriff where he says, "I bought your badge, not your opinion."
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
That's pretty good.
And then they're like, and then once again, what? Okay, at this point in the movie, what has Malone done? He's shot some people who came to kill him. He shot the guy in the barbershop, and he shot these guys. And immediately, Cliff Robertson is like, he's out there. He's gonna bring down our whole plan. You're like,
well, because he's still paranoid about like, this is like special ops guy. He's like, he's paranoid, I guess.
Well, that's the thing the movie never sells me on, is they're trying to sell Burt as like some kind of Jason Bourne, and you're like, nah, he's Burt. He's just going like, this whole idea about like, this man is an unstoppable human weapon, and you're like, he just seems like kind of a doughy middle-aged guy. I don't know, man.
Yeah, he's just kind of trotting along.
Well, and other than that scene where we needed more scenes like the one on the bridge where you see how fucking capable he is. It's like, the way he shoots anybody else is pretty much he just like gets behind them and shoots them. It's not like, you're not seeing a lot of skill in what he's doing.
No.
I mean, like, what you needed was, instead, because the only reason that assassin didn't kill him in his bedroom is because Cynthia Gibb yelled and he rolled out of the bed and got his shotgun. What it should have been is the guy shot into like, oh no, they're pillows or something like that, and then he's behind it.
That's what I thought was going to happen.
Yeah, because that would have been like, oh, because he's such a good counter agent, he's prepared for the assassination attempt.
No, if she didn't say anything, he would have died.
That's right. The movie never sells us on the badassery of this guy being this awesome spy.
Yeah, and you're not going to do it off of Burt's performance alone. So you got to show it.
Yeah,
you have to show, not tell. Well, because
that was the thing about Jason Bourne. When they cast Matt Damon, people were like, well, Matt Damon's not like an action guy. But number one, he put in the fucking work and trained in the martial arts and shit. But also, the script is good about showing it's not just the fighting skill. He's a smart operative who is out thinking people and stuff like that.
Yes, that's what's really important.
That's what's totally missing from this movie.
Yes.
There is, because even when he's setting up traps later, you're like, well, that's pretty convenient.
Yeah.
None of them. I also, it's just so weird. Anyway, so he goes to the hospital where Lauren Hutton sneaks him out. And it leads to a really unnecessary car chase, though.
Yeah,
There's a car
yeah,
chase.
that seemed like really unnecessary. Other
Really?
than to prove that she's kind of badass,
I
or
guess,
something.
and just it's an excuse for like there are like 5 power slides in it.
Yes,
They
there's
just-
a lot of power slides in this movie.
There are, which I do enjoy, except for the fact I'm like, well, that's the only car stunt they're doing.
Yes, yes,
Going like,
exactly.
a power slide is cool like once in a car chase. They just, it's like it's almost just like every turn she's just like, yeah, I'm gonna pull that e-brake.
Yeah,
Seems unnecessary.
yeah.
And so yeah, they get away from that and they go to her mountain cottage.
Yeah.
It's nice house. And I think Burt even has a thing like, nice place. But
Very
then
nice, very nice.
then get ready because the next 15 minutes of the movie are sweaty Burt recovering in bed in his PJs.
Yeah, it's a lot of that.
And I just go, good Lord, the movie has literally just stopped.
It has been brought to a screeching halt. And honestly, I don't think it picks up at all.
No,
ever,
it's
like,
weird.
Ever again.
It acts like it's picking up.
Yes, without actually doing it.
No, this has got to be one of the least exciting climactic action sequences
Yes.
we've seen.
It's so boring.
And I think particularly we of course have seen worse made ones, but it's how much the movie is trying to sell the excitement of it that's making me go like, no movie,
Not working. Sorry.
I can't go with you here. This is pretty dull. And also
Yeah.
the fact that so little of it is Burt. I mean, Burt is on screen so little in this climactic. The only times you see Burt are when he's standing there. You go like, great. That's what I paid to see. I want to see action heroes of stunt guys running and then the actor just standing. How about How about this? I'm just standing behind the guy.
You know, I just watched a Steven Seagal movie and noticed there's a lot of him not doing stunts. So let's do that.
Yeah, that Seagal guy. He's got it right. So she helps him recover, and oh boy, they get it on.
Oh.
And I'm sure you clocked this one-liner when she talks about, they sent me to kill you, and he goes, well, if you're gonna screw me to death, I'll die happy.
Oh boy.
Yeah. And
That
so
could be a Burt line, like an improvised line.
That
from Burt,
I will say
I
that
wouldn't
is
be surprised at
that
all.
is the most Burt sounding line in the whole movie.
Yeah.
Because this is right around the same time. I got to see what year this is exactly. Do you know Burt Reynolds had a game show?
No.
Burt Reynolds had a game show called Win, Lose, or Draw that premiered, let's see. Yeah, this same year, 87. So this is what I'm talking about. This is when Burt becomes just personality Burt, and it was Pictionary, right, as a show.
Yes.
But it was the set was an exact replica of Burt's real living room. And it was because he would have people over to play this game.
Oh my god.
And so it was just him and his celebrity friends playing Pictionary in a TV set designed to look exactly like his real house. And it was called Win, Lose, or Draw. And it's just him.
He's just kind of doing a bunch of stuff just to get paychecks.
It is. And in this case, it is like, it is just like, how about this? We just build a set that looks like my house, and I'll just roll in, sit on my couch, and guess what people are drawing, What's that? Sailboat? Yeah, it's fun.
Tugboat?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, so it is. I will say, it's a perfectly entertaining relic of this era, but I just always thought that was so fun.
Very clearly somebody who's not passionate about the craft of acting at this point.
No, it is just like, hey, whatever. Yeah, each team sat on a couch on a set designed after Burt Reynolds' actual living room. About you know what would be a great idea for the set? It's just my house.
We need to make this very, very accurate. So there's going to need to be some semen stains on the couch.
That could just be a Playboy centerfold collecting your clothes over in the corner.
Yeah, that'd be perfect.
Oh, Burt Reynolds. It is just, I mean, I will say, like, everything you hear about Burt Reynolds, you're like, yep, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
He just,
Yes.
yeah, I do think he is one of those guys who did have some talent, but maybe kind of didn't give a damn.
Yeah.
This is before he marries Lonnie Anderson the next year from WKRP in Cincinnati. Only married twice, by the way, Burt. Seems like I was expecting to find like 6 marriages, you know?
Yeah.
He seems the type. He had a lot of girlfriends.
Yeah.
I don't think Sally Field has nice things to say about him during their relationship. So, yeah. And then this is so dumb. He goes, okay, you and I, we're going to run off together, but let me just go back to that mechanic real quick and say goodbye and leave you here alone where you totally not going to get murdered.
Yeah.
As soon as he leaves, I'm like, she's fucking dead.
Well, obviously, yeah.
But he's like, I got to go back and kiss that teenage girl.
I got to make out with that teenager really quick.
That's what he's doing. I mean, it's weird. So he goes back and he's like, hey, thanks for the hospitality and stuff. Yeah, real sorry I blew up your gas station there, but, hey, shit happens. And he's like, anyway, yeah, I got a hottie waiting for me back at the cottage. And, he goes, but yeah, he gives her sort of a, like, kiss on her cheek. And then when she's walking...
I was like, that's fine.
Yeah, I was like, okay, good. I thought, good. We just sort of keeping this... But then when he gets in his car... that cough was well placed. It sounded like I was actively disgusted by this. He full on... And this is like an open mouth makeout.
Yeah, and she says, like, hey, there's something I wanted to tell you, but in 5 years, I'll be older. And he goes, implying in 5 years, she'll be over the legal age.
And he goes, so will I.
And then makes out with her. And I'm like,
yeah.
What?
Let's definitively establish she's underage and then have Burt make out with her.
Yes.
That's
just so there's no tiptoeing around the creepiness of it.
You know, I love a lot of movies from this era, but there is stuff like this that happens in a lot of them where I just go, Jesus Christ, nobody cared about anything in the 80s. Like this, no one would let this happen in a movie today, but back then people just saw this and went, I got no problem with this.
Yeah.
You could just
unless
do any
it's a
fucking
Daily
thing.
Wire film. Yeah, it's not going to.
That's happening in almost every scene of a Daily Wire film now.
Probably.
Yeah, I don't know. We still have yet to, until they put those out on something other than we have talked about, we will happily mock a Daily Wire movie at some point, but I am not
We just don't want to give them money.
Oh, Lord, no. But I still will, I would love to rag on that Gina Carano Western.
Yeah.
But, all right, so anyway, now the henchmen show up, and they kill Lauren Hutton by smothering her in a plastic bag.
Yeah.
Fucking hell.
Yeah.
And when Burt finds her, she's like open mouth gasping for air in the bag, and she's dead in the tub. And then he's like, okay, well, gotta kill everybody now.
Yeah, there's such a brief moment of like feeling the loss. You know what I mean? And then for the rest of the movie, he's just Burt, he's just Burt trucking along like, yeah, I'm gonna get you.
Well, and now starts the non-stop stunt doubles.
Yes.
Because he drives.
I believe at this point it was okay. Burt, you're a wrap. Yeah. We'll just film the rest of the movie with the stunt double.
And the stunt double's not great. Like he doesn't look like Burt at all. They put a mustache on a younger, thinner guy, and he's just running. Because the second I knew we were in trouble was you get this. He drives his car through the entrance of the compound, and then there's a scene where he's stopped the car and he runs across a field. And when I'm like, okay, that's not Burt, I'm like, oh shit. Like I said, if he has to just run a few feet, like, or maybe a couple yards on totally flat terrain, and Burt's not doing it, Burt's not going to do anything.
It's a bad sign.
Yeah, because like that is nothing. What I like is actually later there's the scene where Cliff Robertson is running around searching for him, and it's clearly Cliff Robertson running the whole time. I'm going, Jesus Christ, Cliff's running. And I think Cliff's older.
I think so, yeah.
And he's going around going, you just got to run through this barn and look around.
It's fine. Yeah, I can do that.
Yeah.
Bert's like, yeah, sorry. I'm doing coke in my trailer, so I'm busy.
Yeah. So Burt, and this is the thing I was going to say earlier that baffles me about this. This is the bad guy's compound.
Theoretically, yes.
How is Burt setting up traps?
I don't know. How does he know where to set up traps?
That's what
How does
I
he know
mean.
anything about this location?
Because most Home Alone trap scenarios, because I also love the one at the end of Skyfall as well, those are bad guys coming to the heroes and their places where they've set up the traps.
They have the home turf advantage.
Yeah.
That's
How is he set up so many
whatsoever.
death traps at this guy's house?
I don't know. During the day in broad daylight, and why is there only maybe 5 henchmen?
That has to do with some budget
With
shit.
the budget, obviously,
I do like one of Burt's big moves here, or I'm sorry, it's still his stunt double doing this. Keep in mind, it is his stunt double for anything where he's not talking, basically.
Yes.
There's a thing where a guy just goes into like a shed and he's looking around, and Burt just tosses in a grenade casually. Hey, there you go.
So stupid.
It's just like, well, that's not interesting at all.
Nope.
Let's see. He's used the grenade. He does get the main henchman guy by putting a plastic bag over his head, and I think does do like, how's it feel?
Yeah, how you like it.
Yeah.
How you like it when it's happening to you. And it's like, that... I'm sorry, Burt, but that's not working for me. I'm not feeling it.
No.
And clearly neither are you.
And then there's the other guy at the top of the barn who gets hit by the hay bale that he's rigged to hit him. That guy goes out the window. That's okay. I mean, it's a pretty good stunt guy fall, but I just,
Yeah.
You get, what else do you get in here? Oh, you get the scene where he just releases all the horses?
Yeah, that happens
at
some point.
But once again, it's not even Burt. It's a person's hand unlock. It's a close-up of him unlocking the thing.
And if I'm not mistaken, you don't actually see the horses escape, right? Or
they run. I think you see a couple run out, and somebody's going like, "Hey, these horses are out of here," and that's about it.
Yeah, I remember.
I
remember somebody talking over radio or something. Oh, he released a bunch of horses.
I think you see 2 horses. They're not doing anything. Once again, you're going like, could you put Burt on one of the horses or something? No,
that could be something. Yeah,
no. Everybody loved when Keanu rode a horse in that last John Wick movie. But Keanu is a real deal action hero. That guy's awesome. And then you get this last guy is the guy who thinks Burt is above him, and so he just fires wildly with his machine gun into the roof.
Right. Yes.
And then goes up to the top level and sees what he assumes is Burt's dead body, but of course is one of the other henchmen is dead. And then Burt's behind him with a gun. And he does this. You get this
bad filmmaking, John, because you see Burt awkwardly sidle out from behind a hay bale.
Excuse me, hold on, gotta squeeze through here. Just give me a second. All right, here we go.
It's like, no, you should just the audience should be surprised as well as the henchmen.
I'll tell you the simpler way to do this.
Yeah,
the guy kneels down to look at the body, right? He turns it over. It's not Burt. All of a sudden, just from the side of frame, the gun to his head.
Yep.
You don't need to see Burt. Yes. Think about Batman and stuff like that. You don't see Batman. We don't see him squeeze out of somewhere. He just appears.
That's cool.
That's cool. Yeah. Or any of these things. When you're trying to establish these awesome badasses, John Wick will just appear places. That's what cool characters do. I've never seen James Bond struggle to get over something and go, hey, hold on, just give me a second. There we go.
It's like that oh my gosh, the Pete, or I can't remember the name. My brain is but the College Humor used to do a bunch of Batman.
Oh, Pete Holmes. Pete Holmes is Batman.
Pete Holmes, yes, thank you.
His Batman sketches.
Yeah, and the one where it's catching Batman as he's getting away, and it cuts back to him and he's running in a very goofy sort of and that's actually what it looks like,
Absolutely.
But that's kind of what this scene is channeling.
Yeah, it's
very funny.
And he gets they have this whole exchange where he goes, "You're not just going to kill me in cold blood, Malone. You're not that kind of guy," whatever. And then he goes to make a move for his gun, and Burt shoots him in the head. And the funniest part of this, though, is there's a hole in the floor of this that goes down to the next level, and this guy gets shot, and perfectly. I just thought about, like, you couldn't plan that. Like, he has to crumple up at exactly the right angle to go through this hole into the floor just so Cliff Robertson can find his body in the next scene.
This might be the second best death
It's
in the
pretty
movie.
great, because the guy just going through that hole really made me laugh.
That was very funny.
It's like going down a laundry chute or like something like it's too, there's no awkward, like if that might happen, but he might fall and then sink through it, but it's a stunt guy, obviously, who's been, apparently this guy's had his brains blown out, but somehow knows enough to fold perfectly in half to fit down that hole. Yeah, that is pretty fucking funny. I did like that a lot.
Yeah, it's very stupid.
And so, then you get a lot of Cliff Robertson running around, not knowing where Burt is. And then, when he gets into the command center, here's Burt in the shadows. And they get some monologue about patriotism and the real Americans. Once again, this could be good if I had any idea what the cornerstone of this guy's beliefs are, or what his motivations or plan is.
Or what their plan is.
Yeah. And once again, he's going like, you should believe in what we do too. You should join us. He's asking him again. And then close up of a gun shooting. We don't even see Cliff Robertson gets hit or anything like that. Or even, it's probably not even Burt holding the gun.
Probably not.
No, bang. And then here comes Burt walking out, and the sheriff is rolled up long after this firefight is over, man. And he's going like, Malone, you got to answer for everything. What the hell's going on? And then behind Burt, this barn goes up like nobody's business. Huge fireball into the sky.
Which obviously we brought up why this doesn't make sense for him to do earlier, but it also directly implicates Burt Reynolds for blowing up this building, which I'm assuming is a crime. I don't know.
I would think so.
Yeah.
But the sheriff just is like, Malone, what are you? And once again, because cool guys don't look at explosions.
True.
You just got Burt walking with all the fire behind him, and this guy's going.
Nor do they look at the green screen behind them.
That
has the explosion image on it.
In this case, the explosion itself is good, but Burt walking away is on a blue screen.
Yes,
and it's not great. It is not great, and we know the blue screens are capable of being good at this time, because you do have like the Hans Gruber fall is in the same era, and that's on a blue screen, and that still looks good. It
does.
But he just, and I just love the sheriff going like, what? He's gone.
Nothing I could do. Hands are tied.
Yeah. So Burt walks away, and then it cuts to Big Dick Malone's driver's license as it's being burned, and credits roll over his driver's license being burned.
Great. Why? Why did this happen?
I guess the idea is now he's going to be a new identity in the sequel.
So nothing has,
because I do
he's
think
gone through no transformation.
I do think this was meant to kick off a franchise. I think Orion thought there was. It feels like that, doesn't it?
It does, yeah.
Yeah. Where
nobody has an arc in this movie.
No.
Not a single person. Transforms throughout the film.
And there are pieces that if they had chosen to connect them could have made Burt. If the easiest thing to do would be Burt didn't want to kill that guy at the beginning, so the whole movie he is reticent to use violence again, right?
Yes,
that's the obvious, and that's classic action movie kind of stuff. If he's like, no, I've chosen a more peaceful way of life, and then is forced to be like, well, I gotta handle this.
It's Unforgiven, yeah.
I mean that's very classic soldier, or it goes back to the samurai who's put away their sword and whatnot. This is archetypical stuff, and it's simple, but it's like the movie wouldn't have had to do much more work to make that the case, is what I'm saying. And it would have been not a huge arc, but something. You're right. There is no
anything.
Well, the characters are so ill-defined, they can't have arcs. We don't even have a starting baseline for these characters, really. So where could they have gone? I don't know.
I have no idea. Yeah.
Scott Wilson has a whole thing about his leg that got injured in Vietnam. That never has anything to do with anything.
Nope. No, that didn't need to
exist. Because once he makes out with the daughter, he's out of there. Those characters never come back.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, this movie
He
is
got
just.
what he wanted, John.
Yeah, I got it. Yeah, that's right.
That teenage tongue.
Hey, pal, just be glad. I could have done a lot more with her.
Gotta put my tongue somewhere else, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Uh, that's Malone, man. It's
That's
not.
Malone.
It's not good.
No.
But it's not even. It's not horrible either. It's just meh.
It's just meh. Exactly. And that's almost worse than
Yeah.
12 Disasters of Christmas, which is so absurdly bad that there's some entertainment value there, where this is just kind of, I don't know. We finished this movie last night at around like just before 10.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I feel like I should go to bed now. Like I feel exhausted from watching this.
Yeah. It finished and I just went, all right.
Okay. All right.
It never got a rise out of me one way or another. Like I was never like,
No.
this is horrible. But I was also, there was no point where I was like, oh, that's awesome.
No.
And generally action shelf movies go between those. It is a thing where it's like, yeah, if they're not going to be good, then they need to be terrible.
Yes, exactly.
It's kind of thing when they're just like forgettable. This is textbook forgettable. We will not remember this movie in a couple months. I will say I will occasionally go back to our earliest episodes and not remember movies, and I'll listen to a little bit of our episode going like, I don't remember any of this. I used to remember the titles and like the vague plot descript, like the vague ideas, but I'm like, I don't know. All right. So, well, we didn't care for this movie, but as you know, I always try to find the strangest IMDb reviews. Now, I have one IMDb review, but I want to the review itself isn't as good as the title. So I just want to read you the title of one other one. And that is Malone, Malone Mal owns.
Oh.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Yeesh.
The review itself is not as exciting as that title, but instead I have this comes to us from IMDb user Haythawk. I don't know.
Sure.
And the review is titled 80s Classic. Having watched this movie more times than I care to remember, thought it was time to write down my thoughts. Malone was released in May 1987, just a few short months after Reynolds had released his comeback movie Heat. Heat bombed, and so did Malone and every other Burt movie after that. The simple truth was that his time had passed and people were now looking to new action heroes. However, do not let that fool you into thinking you should miss Malone. On the contrary, it is vital viewing for any Reynolds or action fan. The plot is simple. Malone is a disillusioned CIA operative. He wants out and he tells his partner that in the opening scene. Malone heads off in his classic car. However, the car breaks down near a small town. Malone befriends the garage owner's young daughter. However, his stay in the town is far from dull. He finds out that most of the shops and hotels are closed down due to properties being bought by the mysterious Delaney. Delaney is a right-wing zealot, I guess. Yeah, I mean, like I said, it more just in because that's kind of the vague way he's talking. He's talking about right-wing zealot, and this is part of his sector. Malone confronts one of Delaney's thugs and beats the crap out of him. He then shoots another of the thugs. Anyway, he goes on about the plot for a little while. Cue the classic 80s style ending. Lots of bad guys chasing after hero in deserted building and getting killed off one and one. That's wrong. To leave hero with main villain. The explosion at the end is pretty cool. So here is what is so damn cool about Malone. When asked by the family,
get into the actual review.
When asked by the family he meets at the local garage what his name is, the reply is Malone. The young girl asks, got a first name? Reply, yeah. How cool is that? All caps. It gets better. When the young girl is driving Malone into town, he says he's traveling around. She says that must be interesting. His reply is, isn't every place just like the other? How wise is that? A classic. Young girl takes coffee to Malone in the morning. He's lying on the bed and putting the coffee down. She asks, are you getting up or going to bed? His reply, I haven't decided yet. Only someone as cool as Malone hasn't decided whether he wants to sleep or not. The list goes on and on. A review of Reynolds' other movie, Heat, suggested you shout the movie title every time some action happened. I suggest the same here. There's a scene when right-wing assassins come to kill Malone. They naturally fail, but in trying to warn him, the young girl screams, "All together now! Malone!" 10 out of 10 stars.
Okay, I know that none of these people are listening to this podcast, but please keep this in mind.
Yeah.
Do not just recount the plot of the movie as your review.
Yeah.
Nobody wants that.
No, I skipped through. He recounted quite a bit of it, but I just love that one person taken with the dialogue of this movie.
Yes, and obviously the best part of the review is only a cool guy hasn't decided whether or not he wants to get out of bed.
Yeah.
No, that sounds like a depressed person to me.
One of the things I will let people in, when I'm looking through these reviews, there are certain moments like that when I'm like, okay, I have to read that one. So when you read that line, I'm like, well, obviously this review has to be read on the show.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind, IMDb reviewers. Often one line will make the difference.
Yes.
We didn't talk about, what do you think? The best death has really got to be split. What do you think? Is it the guy on the bike? Or is it the guy? I don't know. You're right. The through the hole is just so dumb.
It's maybe. I mean, both are really dumb because
both
the
are
dummy
really dummy hitting the windshield of the car. And I am always partial to a dummy in an action movie.
Yeah, I think we give it to that.
The dummy. Well, and the thing about it is the out of nowhere. The guy's riding his bike, and all of a sudden he's hit by this car and killed. Like it's one of those where I was writing something down and looked up and went, "Jesus, what?"
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
So I do think that's good. Now, how about our one-liner of the movie? What are we going to do? Are we going to do the, what are you going to tell the company? Goodbye. And as mentioned, how cool is this? You got a first name? Yeah. After he beats the guy in the bridge. Anybody else? The guy's saying, he can't have children. Might be a blessing. I bought your badge, not your opinion. And I lean towards, if you're going to screw me to death, I'll die happy.
It's certainly the most Burt Reynolds.
It's either that or the might be a blessing, right?
Yeah. I think we'll give it to that. We'll give it to the...
you can't have children?
I was going to say the screw me.
Yeah. I do think they just should, because that is in Burt's voice.
Exactly.
That's in the Sweet Dreams asshole kind of... If you're gonna
not quite as succinct as that, but it's same energy.
But it has an eyebrow waggle implied in it, which I like. You're gonna screw me to death, then I'll die happy. Yeah. Well, Listman, befitting the end of the year, our friend Bruce did get to see this movie, and I know that'll make you happy. So here it is, folks. It's time for the final 2022 edition of The Winning Opinion. So here is Bruce Winning's review of Malone. It's entitled, A Genuine Villain and Lots of Shooting. An old movie formatted for my television. I like the action and violence. I like the pursuit scenes. I like the shooting. I like the kicking and punching. I like seeing the bad guys die. The late 20th century produced some exciting movies. I got 2 today that were along the same parameters. The recommendations are lining up with my preferences. Thanks, Amazon. 5 out of 5 stars. Oh, Bruce.
There's like a construction to it's almost like a haiku or like a limerick.
It is. It does have that. There's a patter to a Bruce Winning review. Also, gotta love that he likes seeing people die, of course.
Yeah, of course.
He likes seeing those bad guys die.
Yeah.
I like seeing them die. I wish they died in more creative ways, though, because he does love.
Remember, like horror movie.
Yeah, I like the creative ways to make someone dead. It's still that statement from him haunts me to this day.
Yeah, it truly chilling.
The creative ways to make a person dead.
And it will be for a villain.
I like creative ways to make a person dead. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we talked about this. Didn't get off the ground, Listman. What if we do come up with a Malone sequel? How about it?
Let's do it.
So we're gonna fire up our handy dandy action movie title generator and come up with a new Malone adventure. Whatever this is titled, it will be underscored by a Malone adventure. So here we go. I'm gonna hit this now.
Malone alone.
And generate it here. The movie is called Invaders of Wind.
What the fuck?
Invaders of Wind.
Invaders
Okay.
of Wind.
This is, I'm going to say this is a few years later, so it's early 90s. We're big into environmental stuff. It's centered around like windmills and like some kind of plan for renewable energy. Invaders.
Is renewable energy the villain?
Yeah, I think in a
okay.
Burt Reynolds movie it is.
Yeah, okay.
People, so people are using. Okay, so it's a front or something, or they're using the energy generated by the wind turbines for nefarious purposes. What are they doing?
It's building up energy, and it'll eventually release an energy wind blast.
Yes. And the beginning of the movie is them testing that out on like a town. They literally blow away a town.
Yes.
And the CIA, lost with what to do, are forced to call in Big Dick Malone.
Oh, and they call him that in this.
in this one, they are calling.
100%.
Wait a minute, you're talking about Big Dick Malone.
Oh yeah.
And you got to get a like maybe 15 minutes into the movie reveal of Burt, right?
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
And he's like, because he's retired, right? He's finally gotten away from it all, and he's fishing, and like some guys come up to him, like a helicopter lands. He's like, "I knew you'd assholes be back to me." And who's our villain? I have a pitch.
Okay.
Gary Busey.
Hell yeah.
That's right. I'm making a wind turbine. You're never gonna stop.
You can't stop the wind.
He's some sort of disgruntled eco-scientist. So you get Gary Busey in a lab coat and big glasses. And
I
big
very
old
much
choppers.
wanna see
Yeah. That's right.
And the final confrontation is in one of those like wind tunnels.
Yes.
So they're like fighting like while flying in this like big sort of wind tunnel.
And
thing.
it needs to end with him going into the blades of the thing and getting chopped up, right? That's how
100%,
Busey goes
yes.
out on this. Yeah.
Yes, definitely.
Now it's mostly a stunt double on Burt's part.
It is. That's true. But you know,
I don't want to take a chance of it blowing my hairpiece off.
yeah, exactly. That's the problem.
Yeah. So there you go, man. I'm on board with this.
I'll watch it.
Yeah. Invaders of Wind, a Malone adventure. All right. Well, listen, there you go. We wrap up 2022. Stay tuned. Later this week, we'll be putting out the Shelfies episode, looking back at the year that was in action shelf movies. So next week on the show, listen, we start a new year and a new theme month. So we kick things off as we head into WWE January.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. That's right. Not only are we watching movies starring wrestlers, as we've done before, I think we've actually done a couple made by them too, but we're doing an entire month devoted to the films of WWE Studios. That's right. They make such great entertainment, brother.
They have made more movies than you would ever guess.
Yeah.
I feel like.
I absolutely, because when we started this, we went to their Wikipedia page and gone, holy shit, there's a lot. I thought we were gonna do maybe the only 4 that exist. But no, there's quite a few. But we are gonna get to talk about some people we haven't been able to talk about because they're a little bit bigger stars than normal. So we're gonna get finally The Rock on the show, which I'm very excited about. We're gonna get The Rock on the show. We're gonna get 2 Cenas.
Double the Cena.
Double the Cena. We're gonna bookend the month with Cena, which means next week we're starting with, oh man, a movie that was just made for this show, The Marine.
The Marine. I believe we've both actually seen this movie.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I'm going like, I think I've seen it. I don't know if I've seen it in its entirety.
Oh, okay. I definitely did in high school.
I think I might have, but it's one of those things too where that's a movie I remember being on cable a lot.
Yes.
So definitely. I do remember seeing it in pieces quite a bit.
Yes.
But we were obsessed with the trailer for this movie for the longest time. So,
Yes.
So we'll talk about the Marine next week on the show. That should be an exciting episode. But Lisman, unfortunately, from what I can tell, there is no tagline for this movie.
There doesn't need to be one, John.
I do like the WWE is just like, John Cena is the Marine. What else do you need to know? I mean, what other questions could you possibly have?
Whose job was it to come up with a tagline? You know what I mean? It's like, okay, we got everything ready. We're gonna, because this movie didn't see theaters, I don't think.
Oh no, it did. It did.
It did. Okay, we're ready to start marketing this. Everything's good to go. Danny, you came up with the tagline, right?
I didn't come with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
I don't know. Yeah. I mean, the tagline might as well just be John Cena the Marine. He's a Marine.
What else do you want?
I mean, the we'll talk about the poster probably, but it is just two images of John Cena in two different Marine outfits. So, which should indicate that will be a lot of fun next week.
Oh yes, I'm very excited.
But that is going to do it for this week's episode of the Action Shelf. I'm John Campbell.
I'm Michael Lisman.
Till next week, get yourself some action.
The Action Shelf. The Action Shelf.